These are my own personal opinions, and the questions are, is Victor Conte good for boxing? And is VADA good for boxing? And I'm going to put layer by layer on the reason I believe they don't, and the reason I believe that we should stick to only USADA and not have Victor Conte in the boxing community. I'm going to try to make a visualization so people understand the history of Conte and why he don't belong in boxing. To understand this illustration and the success of Victor Conte, first I need to go back so people can understand how he became successful with steroids. Number one, he is not a doctor. Number two, he is not the person that found the clear. The clear was brought to him by a chemist named Patrick Arnold. He asked for some, he tested it, and then he found out that it cannot be traced. At that point, he gave it to athletes. Now to understand this illustration and what I assume was the downfall of Balco, in my assumption, it was 4 people. One was Jeff Novitzky. He was the IRS investigator. Tim Montgomery, the runner on the bottom. Trevor Graham, the person on the right that was his coach. And Victor Conte on the left of Balco. At one point, Trevor Graham found out about the clear and worked with Victor Conte or under Victor Conte with Tim Montgomery. They had Project World Record. Their goal was to have Tim Montgomery break the record. On one of the deals, I assume it was a deal, Tim Montgomery had to wear ZMA when he runs. That was one of the things that Victor Conte liked. At one point, Nike offered, I'm not sure if it was 30 or 50,000 to Tim Montgomery to run with their logo on it. Tim Montgomery decided to go with Nike. At that point, Victor Conte separated ways with Tim Montgomery. Trevor Graham was his coach and went in a different direction to get supplements. And the reason this is known is because Jeff Novitzky found a crumbled paper on Victor Conte's location saying that he believes that Trevor Graham is getting supplements from Mexico. Now, what does this have to do with the downfall? The downfall started not only with the crumbled paper accusing Trevor Graham of getting supplements from Mexico, but also Trevor Graham sending to USADA a syringe with some of the clear on it implicating Victor Conte. At the same time, the mail that Trevor Graham sent was traced back to him, meaning that both of them are now implicated. At this point, as I mentioned, Tim Montgomery was the runner and he set the record. He broke the record. To go back on Trevor Graham, he used to have C.J. Tucker, who was married to Marion Jones, and he also was caught. But this is before the clear. Mary Jones divorced him and then was dating Tim Montgomery. After this fiasco and Tim Montgomery confessed, Mary Jones was on her own. That eventually she, later on in years, came out and said that she did use steroids. One thing that I did not explain properly or in thorough is why Victor Conte wanted Tim Montgomery to wear ZMA on his uniform. Remember, they were going for Project World Record with the substance the steroids that Victor Conte was providing. The Project World Record was to break the record before or during the Olympics and him having ZMA on it. And Montgomery went with Nike. Now, what is CMA? CMA is a product that Victor Conte or Balco or both had. And they wanted that it was legal to be worn in the athletes that were using or allegedly using the cream and the steroids of Victor Conte. It's similar to Prime with Logan Paul and Terrence Crawford and Devin Haney using it, basically being a billboard for a legal substance. Prime is a energy drink, I assume, but the supplements were ZMA. As you can see in the photo, ZMA with Tim Montgomery on his shoulder. On the right is a photo of Victor Conte with another photo, and that photo is of Barry Bonds with ZMA. When Tim Montgomery broke the record, he had a Nike uniform logo, meaning that when you look at that image forever, if he will not testify that he was using steroids, it would have had ZMA. Victor Conte likes to have his athletes be his billboard. As you could see on the other photo, these are the snack billboards, what I call billboards, or athletes that are using the snack product or broadcasting the snack product. You see Boo Boo Andrade, Mario Barrios on the bottom, Terrence Crawford, Devin Haney, Robert Garcia and Malky Garcia talking about it with a sign in the back, Bam Rodriguez, and Clarissa Shields, which I assume that's why she's being protective of Devin Haney, and she blocked Tank when they were having these discussions. These two photos, the one above Juan Manuel Marquez and the bottom photo with Robert Garcia, are with Angel Herrera. If you recall on a quote that I put earlier that said, when Nowitzki led an IRS investigation into Balco, he found a crumbled letter written by Conte. It alleged that Trevor Graham, athletes were doping using the help of a Mexican distributor named Memo. Angel Herrera is known as Angel Memo Herrera or Angel Memo Hernandez. On this following quote from Victor Conte, J.M. Marquez or Juan Manuel Marquez is working with admitted steroid dealer Angel Memo Herrera Hernandez on 24/7. Herrera testified he supplied PEDs to Marion Jones. Remember what I mentioned before. Marion Jones, her coach was Trevor Graham. She was married to C.J. Tucker. He tested positive, and then she dated Tim Montgomery, who Victor Conte didn't like because he was not wearing ZMA and he went to Nike. Continuing with the quote, Angel Herrera was the star witness for Nowitzki and the government against Messi athletes. He got no time in return. Quote, Victor Conte. What I assume or what I see Conte said is that Juan Manuel Marquez is working with an ex-steroid dealer. But if you look at the images before that I supplied of Clarissa, Terrence Crawford, Robert Garcia, the same trainer, Devin Haney, Boo Boo Andrade, Mario Barrios, they all are working with an ex-steroid dealer. And this is one of the reasons I believe that Conte should not be in the boxing premises or boxing of any kind. If he quoted on Herrera that, what makes him different if he was on the opposite side? Just because you hated Trevor Graham and you made that quote, it should also apply to you. As for why VADA shouldn't be allowed in boxing, in my view, number one, in boxing, to be an undisputed, you need 4 bouts. Nobody likes the 4-bout era. They prefer only 1 bout. Why do we have 2 anti-doping, USADA and VADA, and maybe even more? But why do you have more instead of 1 for every boxer? Or it is for every boxer, but some boxing or boxers prefer to also use VADA, aka Devin Haney at this time, which is kind of suspect. With that being said, is Victor Conte part of VADA? No, but he was one of the groundworks to help him at the beginning, helping Margaret Goodman. At the same time, why do I believe Victor Conte decided to help VADA instead of USADA? Remember what I mentioned earlier with Trevor Graham. Trevor Graham, the coach of Tim Montgomery, sent the syringe as an anonymous to USADA. USADA is the one that broke it down and found out how the clear works, and that's how the downfall of Balco went. It went with USADA, Nowitzki, Tim Montgomery, and Trevor Graham. And that's why I believe that Victor Conte leans towards VADA over USADA. That's just my point of view, or what I believe the reason is. Now, to give my final recap, but first I want to talk about Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. In my opinion, Ryan Garcia shouldn't have done the anti-doping with VADA. I feel it's kind of suspect, even though it's in denial of Victor Conte being part of. Angel Herrera, the one that I mentioned earlier with Juan Manuel Marquez, he didn't go through VADA. He went through USADA. VADA was kind of suspect for him. USADA, it feels safer, especially since they are the ones that caught Victor Conte and they had that conflict back in the day. When it comes to Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, all I gotta say to Devin Haney is just man up, take the loss. Your Twitter went from 31-0 to 31-1 to 31-0 when you found out about the anti-doping or testing positive Ryan Garcia, and now that you're embarrassed, you took it all out. That is embarrassing. Second, another thing that is suspect is that you are the one that found out. And anonymous, according to ESPN, they got it anonymous, the results. And what a coincidence that you ran up there and talked about it. I'm not saying that you are the one that told ESPN, but it's still suspect. I believe that Ryan Garcia is innocent. It's not a lot to say that he actually took it intentionally, but they're going to drag it down because one boxer doesn't like that one defeat on his title, on his resume, that he's willing to make another boxer downfall. And for everybody that you've seen smack, I'm not saying that you are or you're not, but if Victor Conte, for some reason, gets caught again, and remember, back in the day, he said, I did not testify against nobody. And that's correct. But the problem is, he went on 2020, I believe it was 2020, and he said Marion Jones did it. That's even worse. That's worldwide, nationwide, worldwide. Not only that, he also put Shane Mosley down. He didn't testify, but he did talk about it. It's like Jose Canseco. He probably didn't testify, but he said Mark McGuire did it. And these are the things that people need to realize about Conte. And for me, Conte doesn't deserve to be in boxing. VADA doesn't deserve to be in boxing, especially Conte. And that's all I got. And for my recap, it's obvious. Conte did the steroids. Conte didn't like a certain person. He talked about him afterwards with Marquez, and he doesn't like USADA. And that's all I got. Thank you, and thank you for watching. Please give it a thumbs up. Have a good day.